Oh, welcome to another show of Word to the Wise. How y'all been doing, cousins? Everything good in your neck of the woods? Because everything over here is straight gravy. Yes, I am your host, back once again, Terry Patrick, here on Word to the Wise with the exclamation point. Yeah, I always say that it is not about who I am and what I do. It is about whose I am. Yes, I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody who can save anybody. Come on, cousins. I want you guys to get it in and have a great time with me here today on this Wednesday. You know how I do, and you know who I do this for. Yeah, this is for Pops and Fat Mama. Come on, cousins. Everybody get up for another episode because I got a great topic for you guys here on Word to the Wise. And if you're ready, and without further ado, come on, let's go. Let's get it in, because every show will be fire. Yes, great to see you guys. Welcome to the Cigar Bar, cousins. Yes, welcome to the Cousins Crew Cigar Bar right here on Word to the Wise. Listen, have you ever been in a situation where it was like, man, the whole world had came crashing down, and you were in a new situation to where you had to turn yourself into a new or different person just to be able to survive? I went through that. And I want to talk to those of you who have been through the same things. Now, my situation may have been a little bit different, but it doesn't stop the fact that I had to recreate and reinvent myself once again. I've done it so many times that sometimes I start to feel like, man, maybe I'm a chameleon. Maybe I can just fit in everything from the corner block to Wall Street. You name it, you put me in that situation. Hey, like they say, you throw me in a pit of alligators and I come out wearing alligator boots. You see me in a bear fight, help the bear. Because that's the type of person that I am. I got gumption, I got grit, I got that tenacity. But one time, I found myself in the most arduous situation. It was horrible. I was working for the California Department of Corrections. Yes, I was. And I was there as what they call a correction counselor, which meant I was teaching anger management to some of the angriest people in the world. I mean, they were angry and gangbanging at breakfast. And we were put into these modules, right? Where you had to walk into their dorm room and get them out of their bed, wake them up and tell them, listen, it's time to come for your state mandated classes. And we would have a group of maybe 100 inmates. These were men. And the level yard that I worked in at CRC, California Rehabilitation Center, it was about who was coming down from Pelican Bay, who had already been through the SHOE program, who was getting ready for re-entry into society. And then you had these young cats, these new jacks, they were straight off the streets. And you had the old timers and the new jacks in there. And man, it was a culture clash, because in the penitentiary, it's all about race. It doesn't matter what colors you claimed on the outside, what clique, what little faction you were down with. And here in the prison, you are going to be whatever God made you. If you're white, you hang out with the whites. And it had a lot of different gangs inside of there, but they were all under one banner, The one that confused me the most was Nazi lowriders. Nazi lowriders. I mean, they were white supremacists. Yes, they were. But they talk black. They walk like they were hip hop. but they didn't like black people. They liked black culture, okay? They would listen to some music, but that was not what they were representing. And you had the African Americans, the black men. All that red and blue, get rid of it. It's done. And here we got to stick together. And then you had the Latino brothers. I mean, they were thick, but they had the Northaniels and they had the Southerners, and they really didn't get along together. It didn't matter what group you was in, what gang you were in on the street. In here, you're Mexican, and you better get it straight. So yeah, they had some parent groups that was going on inside the prison, whether it be the Aryan Nation or BGF, Black Guerrilla Family, or La M.A., and then you had the others. The others were kind of like a small group, whether it be Pacific Islanders or it was Asians or people of another ethnicity, where they kind of hung out together as well. Some of them chose one of the big three. And that big three that they had, I had to reach out and touch each and every last one of these groups. I heard their stories. I read their files. Now, by the grace of God, go I, cousins, somebody better hear me, because it was very easy for me to be one of them. So I came in with a very, very different perspective. The way that I got the job was the railroad shut down. Yeah, the railroad shut down. And they had a layoff to where they just laid the entire night shift off. So I had to find some work. And I had a friend, a good buddy of mine, Give a shout out to Rodney Cole. Rodney was my mentor at the time. And Rodney said, man, you can come over here and get a job for what you know and what you do. You can get a job at the prison. I'm like, I don't know anything about doing time. I have no idea, my man. And he said, well, here's my name. Go down there and put in an application. So with nothing more than a recommendation, an application, and an awesome interview, I landed that position. And they put me in there. First day, it was crazy, cousins. I'm talking about bananas. It was off the chain. You go through the security and they check your bags. They check your possessions and, man, everything, making sure you're bringing nothing into this facility. And then you catch a van. The van will take you from the entry, which was up high, down past the women's prisons, right? Because they housed women there, but I was working with the men, down into the prison. I could feel hate, animosity, and just anxiety on my skin. I didn't know that feeling had a physiology, a human reaction to where you can feel, it was a heightened feeling that was happening to my body. I could just feel the hate and the anger when I walked into that prison. I rode with that guy so many times, young, Latino. I don't know if he was Mexican or Colombian, but he definitely was trusted because he was in charge of the van. He drove the van, but he was an inmate. I didn't know he was an inmate for the longest because he had his prison blues pressed. I'm talking about creases, baby. Oh boy was sharp as a tack. He was cleaner than a Safeway chitlin. Oh yeah, he was the sharpest tack in the box. And the fact that he had on these blue, I knew something was wrong because we were told specifically, you can't wear blue as a independent contractor, any shade of blue. Get rid of all the blue in your wardrobe. And he had on blue. That alone should have told me. But I started talking with him one day. It was raining. And on rainy days, we really didn't have a lot of classes and stuff going on because the main meeting facility outside their dorms was right in the middle in the dirt. And then we brought them into the modules, independent classrooms where we had our offices. And it was raining, so I knew it was going to be a slow day. So I just sat there for a second, chopped it up with old boy. His story made me think, woo, how do you make the best of a bad situation? The best of a bad situation. You don't want to know what happened to him? Here, I'll tell you. I'll tell you, cousins. You guys come on in. Lean in, look close. Know what happened to him was he was sitting in bed with his woman and they were going to sleep, turned it in for the night. He had like a little a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment or townhouse or whatever it was. And he could hear his child screaming, "It's a man in my room," in the middle of the night. And then he heard the broken glass. So what he did was what any man would do. If you got a weapon, he went and got his home protection and armed himself. And then he see a flash. Oh, come across the hallway and go down towards the kitchen, which is no way out that way except for the front door, which is locked. So he figured they were trying to get out the door. His wife, girlfriend, spouse, mate, whatever you want to call it, she get up, she go grab a kid and brings him in the master bedroom. So there he is standing at the doorway, and this man just comes running by him wearing all black, and he closed his eyes and he opened fire and shot at this person. The person jumped through the window, back through the same window in which they came. Jumped through that window. Yes, they did. And with his eyes closed, and he just pulling the trigger, and the hot lead is distributing, and it hit that person. So he shot him. They locked up the father, the guy who drove the van. They locked him up. They said he had escaped. He was no longer a threat to you. Why did you keep shooting at him after he had left your premises? He was like, adrenaline. That my heart is pumping. I got to protect my family. And I don't know what kind of weapon he has. He may have something that can blow a hole in this whole house. You don't know. They locked him up. Manslaughter is what they gave him. This guy, I'm like, man, so you in here for manslaughter? He's like, no. I already did that time. And the years that they gave me, I had to add some more time on it because I had to fight to protect myself while in prison. I'm like, wow, what are you in for now? He's like, that's really something that we don't like people to ask, but he's like, Mr. Terry, you cool. I've heard about you. I've heard you doing good things inside this prison and people respect you. See, that's the thing. It's hard to get inmates respect. It's easy to lose it. Somebody know what I'm talking about. He said, you want to know what I'm in here for? I'm in here for a barbecue and a case of beer. I'm like, I got to hear this story. A barbecue and a case of beer? He's like, yeah, I got out of prison after doing manslaughter. Yes, and I went back, and my girl and my kid, who is now bigger and everything, they threw a big barbecue for me. It was a great time, and we're out of ice, and we need some more plastic cups. So he goes to the store with his uncle and another friend. They just go into the store to get some ice. He goes in there, he gets the ice, he gets the cup. And I think his friend that was with him was also standing right by him. He didn't buy anything. So they go pushing a cart out. And people of the store come running out like, hey, you got to pay for that beer. You're like, what beer? It was a case of beer underneath the cart. His uncle stole that case of beer, knowing he just got out of prison, man. And what they do, lock him up for a parole violation and sent him right back to the pen. Oh my goodness. So he's like, I'm in here trying to just make the best of a bad situation. My life has been just stolen. You know, it's like Lemony Snicket's, just a series of unfortunate events that took place in this man's life. These events took place in his life. While I was there, I saw that they had a music studio. I'm like, inside the prison? It's a studio. See, we had to walk the inmates from point A to point B. Now, the policy, the protocol, you keep your back against the wall. You stay in the back of the crowd. Let the inmates walk first, walk that line, and me, as a counselor, I stay in the back and keep my head on a swivel because there's other inmates coming adjacent, right? And you don't know who got a shank. You don't know who's out to get you. But I get by this room, and this room had instruments, drums. It had saxophone. It had everything, all this equipment. So I get with the equipment manager of the prison, and I said, what are you guys doing with this room? He's like, this has been shut down for a decade. It's collecting dust, and we just keep the doors locked. To give the inmates an outlet to be able to use that creativity, because I saw one guy had a harmonica. Another guy, he was good with his hands, making beats on the table and spitting raps and poems and stuff. There was another guy who was an awesome singer, but they kept pointing me to this one little scrawny little white kid. They was like, if we could ever get him a guitar, you would. And I'm going to tell you, I heard him play. I took him to that studio, and you should have seen his face light up. He turned into his old self for a moment. Because see, when I approached him, his head was down. And you got to keep your head low in prison. Mind your business. Stay out of other folks' business. Keep your head down. And that became his persona. But boy, when I put a guitar in his hand, this guy was like Eric Clapton reincarnated. You know, this guy was so good with a six string that he just made people stop and listen to him. Like, what are you doing in prison? Same thing. I'm just trying to make the best of a bad situation. You know what I did? I started a band in the prison. I started up a great band. I mean, we had drums, and we had the cat with the saxophone. Man, he can blow it. The dude on the harmonica, the harp, and that singer and that rapper. We had a crew. But that young kid on that guitar was the star of the show. He showed them that you can escape inside your own head. And he played, and so many other people came forward. And people from other sides of the prison started to come to me like, Terry, I want part of your next show. That's where I met this young man who was a comedian, stand-up comedian, and he just made people laugh. And, you know, well, honestly, his humor and his comedy, it was a defense mechanism. He keep people laughing and it keep them off of him. That's what it was. But he was hilarious. I made him the MC. And we wrote a play. We put on a play inside the prison with a soundtrack and a band and a comedian as the during the interlude. And then, yes, I did spit some poetry myself. I stood in front of him and gave him some of that real stuff, you know, and told him that this is something that we can do on a regular basis. It all went horribly bad. When two guitar strings came up missing. 2 strings off that young cat's guitar. I was like, well, we just gotta buy some new strings then. And the CO, the correction officers, and their sergeant came and talked to me. He's like, you don't understand, do you? The strings that are missing are now a deadly weapon. You could take a guitar string, put 2 pieces of wood on both sides, and slip that guitar string over someone's head. And once you get it behind them, pull it crisscross, and they will do whatever you tell them to do in the sake of wanting some air. Wow. He said, and that string is so thin you won't even see it come over your eyes. It'll go right down to your neck and once they get behind you. He said, you never notice why we don't wear neckties? A necktie is the same thing. If you can just get that tie behind someone's neck and pull that tie, they will do whatever you tell them to do in the sake of give me some air. I'm like, oh man, I didn't realize the depth of depravity. They shut down that program. Yes, they did. And they had to. And in doing so, I realized that you can do good and you can help people. Sometimes people don't want the help. They don't want it. And some people do. But they have to give in to the peer pressure. Another thing I learned there were so many people from different vast backgrounds that it's amazing that more people didn't get hurt. I had one guy who told me on a daily basis, when I get out, I'd love to kill you one day. I love to kill you. I'm like, dang, cousin, what you want to kill me for? He was like, because you're a good dude. I mean, you bring a little bit of happiness to here. I'm like, I don't understand. Why would you want to kill me? You know? He said, because of everything that I've been through, it's just who I am now. Here's his story. He was from Africa, Kenya to be exact. And he grew up where he saw a major clash where there was warring factions, people getting chopped up with machetes. He saw his father get hung upside down and chopped from throat to belly button with a machete. Whole family killed off. He took off running all across the Serengeti, and he said, yeah, it's lions, it's hyenas out there, not like the zoo. You are meat, you are food. And he was a kid and he ran through that just to get away from people. And he found himself being partnered up with a gentleman he said was a judge, brought him to America, and right around that time, because of his age, he became American citizen. They sent him to Vietnam. And what did he do over there? More killing. He get out of there and spend decades on the streets. Wind up joining a major street gang. And what did he do there? More killing. He said, now you guys want me to stop doing drugs. You want me to stop doing crack cocaine and smoking weed and occasional heroin. He said, do you know the state has me under more powerful drugs than anything on the streets? He said, yeah, the state issued meds are stronger than your street drugs. He said, so what's the use? He said, but I would love to kill you because I've killed so many worthless people. I just want to be able to kill somebody who's going to mean something. Maybe that'll give my life meaning. I'm like, whew. I'm like, thank God for prison bars. I got to find me another way to make a living. Railroad called me back. I went back and started driving my forklift again. Oh, yes, I did. And matter of fact, the railroad paid me more than putting my life in danger at that prison. Yes, The railroad paid me more. How come, cousins? When you're in the business of helping people, whether you're a teacher or you're a tutor or whatever it may be, the money is low. We don't pay people enough. Counselors need to make more. It is such an important part. And this is Mental Health Awareness Month. Yes, that happened to me. I had to make the best of a bad situation. But I be damned if it didn't rub off on me. You take it home with you. You feel it on your skin. And you get home and you're agitated and you on edge. Anybody who's a police officer or a correction officer and is listening to this broadcast and Word to the Wise here with Terry Patrick, I would love to hear from you. Do you take that street life, that prison life back to your family? Because I know so many of them are involved. Domestic disputes, domestic violence, alcoholism. Yes, it gets in you and it gets on you and you can't explain why. I'm telling you why. Just like positivity is contagious, so is negativity. Yeah, you keep hanging around. Yes, the old saying is, if you hang out at a barbershop long enough, eventually you're going to get a haircut. You hang out at that prison long enough, you start thinking. You start thinking in a way that you can't explain it. It is your concentric circle that has now splashed up on you. Woo! Truer words have never been spoken, cousins. And I would love to be able to say that, one of these days we should be in a situation where we don't need the amount of prisons that we have because they just stockpiling them. And I taught anger management, trying to show them how to deal with it, trying to show them how to have reentry to society. And I had a young man telling me he stood up in front of everybody. He was pissed off. He was like, you can't tell me nothing about how to do my time. Have you ever been locked up? I said, no, I haven't. He said, well, how you gonna tell me how to do my time? I'm like, bruh, I'm not here to tell you how to do your time. But if you really, really want to know how to never come back to this place and give them another day of your life, how to love one woman, how to be a father to your children, how to be a mother to your kids, how to hold down a job and get yourself an anniversary on the job, how to get yourself an apartment and a car. I can show you that. I can teach you that, but I can't tell you how to do your time. You are right, young man. You are absolutely right. And you should have seen the OGs stand up, which they don't usually do. And the loud and thunderous applause that came from them hardened inmates. And they told the truth. They was like, that's what I want to know. I don't want to know how to do my time. I came through foster homes and juvenile hall and county jail and went through the state into the federal pen. And now I'm trying to work my way backwards and finally got a date to where I could get out. I don't know how to live out there, Mr. Terry. I know how to do this. Can you show me? I'm like, yes. Can. Share your story. Tell your story to other people. And don't leave out the parts where you messed up at either, cousins. Don't try to make it seem like it's easy because you know that it's not. It's not easy, is it? Tell the whole truth and you might be helping someone. You might be helping someone to not have to go through that situation. Because like I said in the beginning, by the grace of God, go I. It very well could be me. It could be you in that situation. And you would want someone to give a damn. Which I did. And I hope to God that they listen And I hope you listen today, cousins. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you. Oh my goodness. We had a great time here today on Word to the Wise. I want you guys to keep doing what you're doing out there, okay? And just, think about old cousin Terry sometime. Keep holding it down. Everybody out there, no matter what you're doing, just keep holding it down. Yes, because I feel like we made a kindred spirit, cousins. I really feel like we go way back. Like fat crayons and Hot Wheel tracks, baby. Like droopy diapers and Similac. Yes, we are Cousin Nation. Right here on Word to the Wise podcast. And in the meantime, I want you to do me one quick favor. Because see, why I do this is for Pops and Fat Mama, but I want to reach more people. There's somebody that needs to hear what I'm trying to say. All it takes for you to do is something that is very, very simple. So I was wondering if you could,
I hope you like the podcast and you really like the podcast.
Come on, be serious.
And you really like my podcast.